1 games to none. Brent, let's kick it off. College football, obviously. What can you tell us? Any interesting stuff before we go around the league?
Oh, there's several things going on. I think at this point, one thing that's come up that I thought was interesting. No one's talked about this that much, but Oklahoma actually has a road game at Tulane, and people may not pay attention to this until the week of the game, but that's very unusual. And I'm guessing this is probably one of those 2-for-1 things where they play twice in Oklahoma and once in Tulane. But as you know, Tulane's stadium seats under 30,000. I've heard it may be closer to 20. So that will be almost like Oklahoma playing in a basketball arena is what it amounts to. So keep that in mind. Texas won the Learfield Directors Cup, dethroning Stanford. Shane, I think it was the first time in 27 years that Stanford did not win this. Now, as you know, Stanford has, I'm being facetious here, but they have about 100 sports, which is an advantage for them. But Texas actually won this time. Florida 5th, Bama 7th, Arkansas even finished 8th, and Georgia finished 10th. So thought that was interesting. I think the non-SEC stat that sticks out the most is what team lost the most transfers since October of last year. Tennessee leads with 22. Mississippi State has 20. Auburn 19. Vanderbilt 18. So if we thought that it seemed like Tennessee has lost a lot of players, well, they have.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Hunter says, yeah, it was a 2-for-1, referring to the Oklahoma. I got tickets to that game for $20 a pop. I thought for myself that was weird that they were going to be on the road at Tulane. Yeah, it's very strange. Brent, real quick, you talked about the I don't know if it's not called the Sears Cup, but the Directors Cup or whatever it is. Stanford did not win it this year. But I heard a stat the other day, and I'm going to throw it out there to you, Brent. You probably know the answer to this, and I'm probably going to butcher the question. I think the SEC won 9 national championships this year. The league did. You know which school won? You know which school won the most?
That's a great question. I will say. Obviously, it's something you wouldn't think. It was probably either Bama or Arkansas.
It was actually Kentucky. Kentucky won in volleyball, and then they won in some other sport. I can't even remember what it was, but I believe I have that right. I hope I didn't butcher that question, but I heard it the other day, and I was dang, I didn't even realize that. Some sad news in college football. Former UCLA coach Terry Donahue passed away. I didn't even know he was sick, Brent.
Yeah, I didn't either. He was 77. He did a really good job in the Pac-12 with obviously with UCLA. Shane, I think I remember him more from being a television analyst as much as I do a coach. He did a nice job with that, but he was well thought of, and and he had a 2-year battle with cancer, and I think he kept it pretty quiet. But he was 77 gets younger all the time. Let's just say that. So I'm with you. Very sad to hear that. But he had a lot of people talk about him this week and how much they appreciated him, how smart he was, and what he did to help other people.
Yep. If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call them today. That's QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. 4550. Speaking with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. You can follow him on Twitter at Brent Beaird. All right, Brent, in your notes, this may shock a lot. Well, it may or may not shock a lot of people out there. The returning production on the offensive side of the ball in the SEC is pretty amazing.
Well, it is. I give Bill Connolly of ESPN credit for this. Ole Miss leads with 86% of their production on offense coming back. Now Vanderbilt is second with 80%. Mississippi State third with 77%. I won't go through all of them, but the ones that really get your attention, A&M is 96 with 65%. Georgia is 109 with 65%. And then you've got Tennessee at 60% at 116. At 116. What also is very interesting here is Florida is 119 with 57%, and Alabama is 121 or 123 with 53%. So obviously out of 130 teams, but again, Florida and Bama will play early September, and the main number here is that Florida has 57% of his offensive production coming back. Alabama 53%. Look, that doesn't mean that they'll be horrible offensively by any stretch of the imagination. It just means a lot of the players, obviously, that have the main production are not coming back. But I think both teams will find a lot of production going on. But that certainly does tell you, doesn't it, Shane, how good Ole Miss might be this year.
Well, they got Matt Corral, who I think is the best quarterback in the league. They got the running backs coming back. They lost the good little receiver, but they will be good on offense. Yes. Brent, I saw something also. I didn't get a Phil Steele magazine, but I saw it on Twitter. Were you surprised? He has the Florida Gators ranked 27th in America preseason. Were you surprised at that?
Yeah, I am. I think that, Phil says that he's the most accurate of all. I know Gator fans will like him to eat his words on that one, but I think a lot of that is just, again, the uncertainty that you've got at quarterback. I still think Emory Jones is going to be a fine quarterback, but with Phil and looking at what he's done over the years, that's a big deal to him. I get it, but I think that has as much to do with it as anything else.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the records since 2010 within conference play, some of these are staggering.
They really are. Alabama obviously leads 87-11 since 2010. Ohio State's 84-11 at that time too. And frankly, as you look at this, no other SEC teams involved with this. We're usually, and I know App State's it's kind of going up and down a little bit, but my Stars, App State at 49-9 is amazing too. Boise State 74-15 during that time. You got Northern Illinois at 69-24. So no doubt about it. People would be surprised, frankly, how well some of these teams have done. And you've got Wisconsin 69-27. That's been a real stalwart as of late in the Big Ten.
This is a great trivia question. I'm going to throw it out there to all our listeners. And if they want to chime in on Facebook Live, you can, and we'll give you the answer before we let Brent go. But there are 3 Power 5 schools to never have a 10-win season. Can you name those? And we'll come back to that one, Brent. Tyrone Willingham's going to join the playoff committee. You like it?
Yeah, I think, the good thing is that's a 13-member committee, so no one really much is going to dominate it. But I think what I like about it is they continue to have football coaches on the committee, and you've just got to be able to do that. Now, he replaces R.C. Slocum at Texas A&M, who obviously is having health issues and getting treatment for those, but that means that he won't be able to be on the committee. And look, we'll get into this later, but I've heard some discussion this week about when we expand to 12, do we still need a committee that big? We don't know the answer to that yet, but that will be something interesting to see how, when it gets up and going, how that affects the number of people on the committee.
Brent, let's go ahead and go around the SEC a little bit here. What's going on up in Tuscaloosa? Any new news out of there?
Yeah, they finished 7th in the all sports standings, which is the highest that they have ever done. Devontae Smith won the Roy Kramer SEC Male Athlete of the Year award. Riley Quick, who is going to either play baseball or football at Alabama, has committed to play baseball. So obviously he's very athletic in order to do that. Antonio Kite committed to Alabama over the last few days. The number 23 rated athlete by 24/7, 6'1", 180. So that will be interesting to see how he does. There is a big decision today. Jeremiah Alexander, a linebacker from Thompson High School, it's near Hoover and the Birmingham area, and they have become a real power. But Jeremiah Alexander is one of the best players in the state of Alabama, and he would decide today between Clemson and Alabama. So a lot of people think he's probably going to Alabama also. This is more of an amusing note than anything else. Malachi Moore, the defensive back at Alabama, and Bo Nix, the quarterback at Auburn, are both have teamed up with Milo's Tea. Now, I haven't drank Milo's Tea, but I understand it's very good. And if you're from the state of Alabama like me, drinking tea is a big deal. So both those guys in the name, image, and likeness have partnered with Milo's Tea to plug that product. So we're going to see some very interesting player product combinations coming up, Shane. Shall we say that?
Yeah, we are. And, it's interesting to me because you don't really know what the dollar amounts in this Milo tea deal. Did they just get a year supply or a lifetime supply of Milo's tea for you and your family? Or, we don't know what the figures are. So anyway, we do have a winner, even though we're not giving anything away. But Rick here on Facebook Live got the trivia question right. Indiana, Iowa State, and Vanderbilt. I'm sure Rick Googled that. You had to Google it. I don't know how anybody would even know the answer to that. Anyway, turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. This July, mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Arkansas, anything going on up in Fayetteville?
They've had a couple of three-star verbal commitments. Cornerback Jalen Lewis, he is from Brownsville, Tennessee, playing safety. And I've also had another one from Manny Powell, three-star linebacker, who is committed to them too. They're doing well in recruiting. And look, I know that a lot of our listeners don't know and care about Arkansas recruiting, but I think the point here is both Shane and I have appreciated the job Sam Pittman has done. They continue to be able to do so. Obviously, Felipe Franks is not there anymore, so that's going to be interesting to see how they do in replacing him. But I think the point is they had an improvement last year. Will be very, very interesting to see how they improve this year.
I was going back to the trivia question. It's crazy that Iowa State, with the success they've had in the last few years, they have not won 10 games yet. That just kind of dawned on me.
I'm amazed at that too, and I love Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell's one of the better coaches in America. Frankly, he's a program builder. In other words, he's a guy that gets there and builds a program for 10 years, and he's on course to do that right now. No, certainly no surprise about Vanderbilt in Indiana. And I will say, with Tom Allen in Indiana, it won't shock me at all if they win 10 games in 1 year. But you're right. You would think in these schools' history at some point that would have happened.
Yep, exactly. All right, Brent, let's move to the Plains and Auburn, Alabama. You being a Bama guy, boy, do they have a rough year in their athletic program.
And all this comes from Philip Marshall, who is an Auburn beat writer. That kind of laid this out, that they were obviously, they struggled in basically every sport. Frankly, the men's basketball team had a losing record. The women's basketball team was 0-16 in the SEC. Baseball team, who they thought was going to be very good, had a losing record and finished 12th. The softball team finished 12th. Auburn was 12 out of 14 SEC teams in the all-sports standing. They have had some meetings at Auburn to try to fix this, and a lot of this, or some of it, would be more of a commitment to some of these programs, better facilities, as Shane and I mentioned, over time. And look, the facilities make a difference in regards to what sport it is. The one that really stuck out to me that Marshall mentioned, Terry Bowden in his first 2 years, people may forget this, was 21-1. 6 Auburn teams have finished in the final top 10 in the polls. In those 26 seasons since '94, Auburn has not had back-to-back top 10 finishes. That's amazing to me that has not happened. And that's through a cycle of Tommy Tuberville and Gene Chizik and Gus Malzahn. Brian Harsin is up and going, and will be interesting how that goes. And they had a transfer from Devin Barrett, who is a senior running back, and that has got their depth down now to where before the freshmen come in, that they would be down to 2 running backs. I still think Tank Bigsby may be the best running back in the league, frankly, but they've got to get some running back depth. Look, Shane, you know, like I do, in this league, you've got to have what? Probably a minimum of 6 running backs. You get some early injuries, and that can be a real iffy season. As for you may be having to move people to running back before it's over.
Absolutely. Okay, so in Gainesville, what's the word for the Gators?
Well, this came out last night, where this came from, where I saw it, was from Dog Nation, which is a Georgia site. And what they're saying is that there are multiple sources close to Florida that are reporting that Brenton Cox Jr. has had a foot injury, has had a screw put in his foot, and that he's going to be out for an indefinite period of time. Now, again, let's be fair. Florida has not commented on this. We know that Cox was at Georgia for a while. There was a mutual parting of the ways. We don't know all that happened with that. But that is something that is out there now, according to Dog Nation, making its rounds on Twitter. And we will wait and hear more about it at this point. Hopefully, Cox can get healthy and get on the field and be able to live up to his potential.
And rumor has it, you know, as you mentioned, Brent, we don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly they're reporting that it was in a scooter accident.
Yeah, that went along with the report from the Georgia site also. So again, hopefully with the if it is true and he's had that done, that he'll be able to get back as soon as possible. Now, some better news for Florida. Obviously, Florida is got a Rivals 100 defensive end, Quincy Wiggins, my understanding that I think he may be there today or this week. That is taking a tour. We know that Florida had a good year in the Directors Cup. They finished fifth, and they also paid off Jim McElwain. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. Got his final installment. So McElwain is paid off. And again, Shane, you know how this works. Whether it's Florida, whoever, sometimes you get a deal worked out, and it takes years to pay these coaches off.
Yep, and he worked for the Gators for pretty much 3 years, if that, and they paid him $23.8 million. Wow. Would be nice to be a bad football coach.
Look, that should be all of our goals. In that you get paid, that they pay you to fire you. Yes.
Yeah, no question. What's going up in Athens?
Georgia finished 10th in the All Sports Directors Cup. They've had 3 assistants. Matt Luke, who was the coach at Ole Miss, offensive line coach, inside linebackers coach, and co-defense coordinator Glenn Schumann and Trey Scott, the defensive line coach. They all got raises. Now, here is we find some amazing stats during the week, and this is one of those stats that you really don't hear until the off season. But Georgia is looking for a wide receiver to go over 1,000 yards. Terrence Edwards had 1,004 yards early in the 2000s. Georgia has only had that happen once. Shane, can you believe that?
That is crazy.
Now, in comparison, Alabama and Florida, 11 receivers at 1,000 yards or more. LSU and Missouri, 9 receivers. We won't go into all the numbers here, but I just thought with the the Lindsey Scotts and the Hines Wards and the Andre Hastings and they just keep naming them that they would have had that happen before now. Now, again, probably in fairness to Georgia, they like to be balanced, be able to run the ball. But that just really stuck out to me, Shane, for some reason as how the world could that happen at Georgia with the status they've had in football.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin looks like he's getting a transfer to help with the offensive line.
I think this will be huge for them, frankly. They've got Orlando Umana is an offensive lineman from Utah. He's a former All Pac-12 selection, so he comes in on the line. I think that's going to be quite helpful for them. I mean, he appeared in 40 games at Utah, and that's a good program. And they're inexperienced on that right guard spot, so he may end up there. And by the way, Ole Miss got a commitment from a 4-star 2022 defensive lineman, Xavier Harris. Shane, he's 6'8", 335 pounds.
Wow. That's a big dude. That is a big dude. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, how about Nick Evers at Elite 11? He was pretty good out there. Yeah, I read some stuff. I don't put any stock into any 7-on-7 stuff because it is not football at all. A lot of us can go look good in shorts, but he's supposed to be a pretty good talent. What's going on with the Vols up in Knoxville?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Tennessee leads the country right now in the number of players to transfer out. They did have a commitment from 3-star offensive tackle Maziel Reddick, 6'4", 330. Martavius French, one of their former linebackers, is going to a JUCO situation. And probably the best news for Tennessee, Brandon Turnage, who went from Alabama to Georgia, is now going to Tennessee. He's a defensive back, pretty talented kid, frankly, 4-star that came out of high school. So, and he can play very quickly at Tennessee. I mean, obviously, things for whatever reason just did not work out at Georgia at that time, too. So still a little bit of a revolving door for Tennessee.
Brent, before we let you go here, Miami, they've struck a deal where all their scholarship athletes, I'm sure people have heard about it, are going to be getting paid a little bit of money just to promote a MMA gym, I believe.
Yeah, a business called American Top Team offering $500 a month to all 90 scholarship players, which is interesting. That's going to be, if you added all that up, is $540,000. Now, the company's called Bring Back the U. So nothing subtle about that, is it, Shane? But look, and again, we don't know where all this is going, but don't think for a minute that this won't be used as a recruiting tactic, and we'll see a lot of things similar to that. So NIL will eventually slow down and get quieter during that time. And by the way, a quick Miami note, Miami has not had a top 10 final AP ranking since 2003. So that's been quite a while for the Canes.
Yep. Brent, good stuff as always, my man. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Be safe over there.
You too, bud. Take care. Thanks.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We're going to be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Chris Harry, talking a little Gator hoops. And also, we'll be talking a little Gators in the Olympics. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Le Macaron French Pastries, Palmetto Moon. And coming August of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Inviters Tailgate, and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to head to the Titan MR hotline. We're going to be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Chris Harry. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Shane, how are you?
Doing well, Chris. Appreciate you taking the time to come on. First of all, before we talk, I know you've been running a bunch of great stories on the Gators that are heading over to Tokyo. But before we get to that, give us a rundown. I know Gator Hoops, we got our full team in action, got the full coaching staff. What have you seen? What do you like so far?
Well, it's not the full team yet. There's 13 guys on scholarship, a couple walk-ons, and there's obviously one key guy on scholarship whose status is uncertain. Of course, that's Keontae Johnson, who's still going through his medical tests. there will be some kind of announcement with regard to his situation on the timeline of the family. Depends on what they think. That's all very private, obviously medical situation. So I know he's got a couple key exams coming up that'll determine some things. So we should know something about that down the line. Sam, since it's a year later, I still can't say his name. Is still in Russia, having trouble getting back with regards to COVID and visa and what have you. But he's expected to come back. But that leaves the rest of the guys, and one of them showed up just the other day, Colin Castleton. I went out to practice just the day before the storm came through. Makes a big difference when you're going through summer workouts and all of a sudden your 6'11", 245-pound center is back. So he's mixed in with obviously the 4 new transfers, the 5 returning scholarship players, Tyree Appleby, Anthony DeRugi, Niles Lane, and Jason Jatobo among them. And I tell you what, like you said, the coaches are there. Eric Pastrada by way of Oklahoma State, Keem Miskden by way of Florida Atlantic. So they're doing stuff now that they didn't do last year. One of the reasons I mentioned Jason Jatobo, 6'11", 300-plus pounds. He was starting to come around a little bit his freshman year, and then COVID really hurt him. I thought COVID hurt Trey Mann at the time in terms of development and being around the program and what have you. And when you lose an off season, you lose a lot. And some guys lose more than others. And they're in the normal off season process now, both relative to strength and conditioning and being able to do individual instruction drills, hands-on stuff with the coaches, and getting 2 hour-and-a-half practices in per week. So it's the bonding process. It's the chemistry process. You're talking about the arrival of 4 transfer players. It's a little bit different, man, because these 4 guys were main cogs in the wheels at their previous stops. You're talking about guys who averaged, I wrote this in a story I put on the website this week, these guys averaged 1,000 points in 27 minutes a game at their previous stops. So they're probably not going to be that productive here. They're probably not going to play that much here. Some of them might, but that's part of the bonding process and part of the chemistry process. They say they're coming here to win. So to do that, they're going to have to make some sacrifices individually, and we'll see how that goes. Right now, it's just the beginning of that process, and it is a process. That process will go deep into the season in terms of what the rotation will look like.
And you, like you said, you've seen some practices, Chris, from gosh, if you're playing college basketball, you're very athletic. But is there anything that's noticeably different from what you've seen from the squad that's out there right now? And obviously you don't know what the rotation is going to be, but compared to last year's team?
Well, the biggest difference is, and these are grown ass men all of a sudden that's showing up, right? I mean, when before the season even tips off, there's going to be 4 guys on the team who turn 23. Okay, so that's a big difference when you compare, say, 2 years ago when Kerry Blackshear was here. Okay, that team with Noah and Andrew and Keontae Johnson, that was the youngest team in the SEC by KenPom advanced metrics. And it was the 6th or 7th youngest in the whole country, believe it or not. This team isn't going to be that. These are guys, like I said, that have been through wars. Now, granted, you're talking about guys that are coming from Kansas City, from Missouri, Kansas City, from Charleston Southern. They haven't been in the SEC, and they put up those 2 guys, Brandon McKissick from Missouri, Kansas City, and Flan Fleming from Charleston Southern. They put up some good numbers. Fleming was a 20-point, 7.5 rebound guy at 6'4". But I mean, these are athletic guys who, both those guys were defensive players here in their conference. Okay. So they want to test themselves against better competition. The 2 other guys, CJ Felder is I want to say 6'7", kind of 3-4 guy, not a great shooter, but he's an active athletic body down there. He was 2nd in the ACC in block shots. So, he can guard. And then finally, the 4th guy is Myron Jones, who comes from Penn State. He's probably the most accomplished out of all these guys because he averaged 14 points a game the last 2 years in the Big Ten. Last year, the Big Ten was probably the best conference in the country. So What do I see that's different? These guys have played basketball before and have a lot of statistics, as John Gruden would say. They got a pretty impressive resume on the back of their cards. Okay, so they come here with that already. Now it's a matter of them getting indoctrinated into what they're going to do here. And again, I can't say this enough. It's every summer, and I'm not getting caught up in this like I have before. These teams. Guys look good. You see things. Oh boy, this may be the best team I've seen since. This might be the best freshman since Brad Beal has been here. I've gotten caught up in that before, but once the bullets fly, the games are played, and minutes are starting to be distributed. Guys tend to react differently, and we'll see how these guys react down the line. And I say that both positively and negative. You just don't know how guys are going to embrace the whole rotation stuff, and the coaches don't know who's going to be in the rotation right now.
Yeah. Chris, I can't remember if I saw one of your tweets or one of your articles you wrote, and, once the season ended last year, I know Gator Nation was, we just lost 4 or 5 guys to the transfer portal. Well, there are a bunch of basketball programs in the SEC that lost twice as many as we did.
Right.
Do you have those numbers in front of you?
I do not have them in front of me. I actually was on a show like last week and just rolled down all of them. 4 is tied for the second fewest. Okay. I think Auburn, Tennessee, Florida had 4. Kentucky, Alabama had 2. Georgia, I think, has 9. Texas A&M has 9. Maybe one of those may even have 10. LSU has 7. So the notion that the phrase that kept going about this mass exodus it's not reality. It's funny because I just saw this is just the way the world. I mean, what if 1,700 guys were in the transfer portal, and a lot of them were really, really good players. You saw the first team all league. What's the guy's name from Illinois? The big center, 6'11".
Oh yeah, Kobe
that's right.
Cochran or something like that.
He's leaving. I expect him to land at Kentucky, by the way. 2 of Illinois' assistant coaches ended up as Calipari assistants at Kentucky. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he ends up at Kentucky. You just saw that that the guy Kevin O'Banner, who killed the Gators at Oral Roberts, as much as Max Asmus did kill the Gators in that game, Kevin O'Banner was what he just announced he's coming back, pulled his name out of the NBA, but he's going in the transfer portal. Again, so somebody is going to get a windfall 6'8", stretch 4 kind of guy who's proved himself, who beat Ohio State, who beat Florida, and who damn near beat Arkansas in that last game. So this is the way of the world now until something else changes about it. And Florida is going to be in the mix for guys. I don't know if they'll be in the mix for high-profile guys. They have been before, but people who want to say, well, look at these guys that Florida got from Missouri, Kansas City, okay, Igor Kolichev came from Rice. Canyon Barry came from College of Charleston. These guys can be productive players. They can be good players. Igor Kolichev was a 13-point, 7.5 rebound guy here. Canyon Barry was the SEC 6th man of the year. These guys can come here and make a difference and can help this program win if it all comes together for this program.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing about college basketball. It doesn't matter what level you're playing. If you're a good player, you can play.
That's right.
So do you think this is the way of college sports, especially college basketball now? Is it going to be so much turnover year in and year out, you think, Chris? Obviously you got your 5-star, the elite players coming out of high school, and they usually have 5 or 6 schools that they're going to end up at. Is it Mike White, for example? We're not a blue blood in basketball.
Nope.
People can argue whatever they want about that, but we're not. Do you think he's going to start looking more at established veteran-type players, regardless of where they're playing, to come play at Florida?
You just don't know if this rule is going to, market correct itself, because you wonder. I mean, some of these guys are playing at their 3rd school. A lot of these guys are playing at their 3rd school. You wonder if this free year of transfer, I think that will stick around. I don't know if the grad transfer rule will stick around, because that's how you get 3 guys, so many guys playing at 3 different schools. The COVID extra year was a reason the numbers are so high also. So that's going to correct itself a little bit. But I think coaches are going to take a real step back and wonder about not wonder, but evaluate how hard they want to really be careful with high school guys, because I'm a freshman who's, say, a 3 or a 4-star. You're a developmental guy. I mean, how patient are you going to be if you got to sit behind guys, especially when transfer guys are coming in on top of you when you're expecting to roll in there and get your minutes when it's quote unquote your turn. That's the way it's worked here in the past. I point to I used this example before. Niles Lane was a freshman last year who didn't play very much. Decent player from New Jersey, had a lot of potential, whatever, but he was the freshman role player. In a normal world, okay, he plays 6 minutes a game last year in 14 games. As a sophomore, he's playing a little bit more. His minutes are increased by junior year. He's a starter. I mean, this isn't a one and done kind of guy. This is a program culture kind of guy. The 3 guys came in, 3 guys transferred in over top of him. How is he going to react? Well, how's he going to react a year from now? But I tell you how he's reacted now. He stayed here. He stayed here all summer. He's worked out an incredible amount in the weight room. He's always in the gym shooting. He's embracing this as a challenge. I don't know that every guy's going to do that, but right now that Niles Lane is probably the most improved player on the team. Now I say that there's only 5 players back from the team right now, but he is the most improved player on the team, and he is taking on the challenge of these 3 transfers coming in ready to play his position.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes with Chris Harry from FloridaGators.com. All right, Chris, you've been writing pieces on a lot of the Gators that are going to be representing not just the U.S., but all their countries over in Tokyo. First of all, before we get into that, I want you to kind of let us all know all the Gators that are going to be in Tokyo. What's the status with Brad Beaird? Is he on the Olympic team or has a chance to be on it?
No, he's on the Olympic team. He's practicing with the Olympic team. Yeah, he and of course Jason Tatum played at the same high school, so you see him tweeting a lot of this St. Louis kind of stuff between the two of them. But Kevin Durant's on the team. This is, I mean, obviously it's a very, very good team. Bam Adebayo's on the team. It'll be exciting to watch. It's a trivia question. Brad Beal. People are saying he's the first Gator Olympian to play on the men's basketball team. That's not true. There was a gentleman by the name of Harry Winkler who played back here in the 60s, okay, as a basketball player for Norm Sloan's first run. He actually went to the Olympics to play handball when he got older. So technically he's the first basketball player, men's basketball player from Florida who ended up in the Olympics. Bradley Beal will be the first men's basketball player as a Gator who ends up playing basketball at the Olympics. So, awesome. but it'll be pretty cool. Now, I haven't got to my Brad Beal story, or Scott Carter and I are sharing on these things, but we're going. I've written about Aubrey Monroe. We've written about Natalie Hines, the swimmers, a couple soccer players, a gymnast, Leon Wong, who's going to be a freshman incoming this year, is going to be an alternate on our team. But we still got some pretty marquee names to show up on our list, from Bradley Beal to Grant Holloway, people are going to obviously, people have seen him on Twitter. He's going to blow up at the Olympics if he can run the way he's run so far. And of course, Caleb Dressel has a chance to not just be a star in swimming; he has a chance to be the star of these Olympics. There's some people that think he has a chance to maybe challenge the kind of medal run, Michael Phelps and maybe even Mark Spitz had, depending on how many races he chooses to do.
How many total Gator athletes are going to be going? Do you have that number?
I think the number is 31.
Wow.
And Mouse Holloway is the USA track coach also. So, he'll be representing the Gators there as well. So, It's quite an impressive array and spread out among, basketball, track, swimming, golf. Women's golfer is competing as golf is back in. There's a baseball player playing, soccer. It's a nice array, a nice mix of student athletes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the baseball player. I can't think of his name right now, but
I'm going to try to say it. It's Mark Colasavari.
And he was like a backup here, correct?
Yeah, he's made the baseball team, believe it or not. And there's 3 softball players, as you well know.
Yes.
Aubrey Monroe, Kelsey Stewart, and Michelle Moultrie, who last played here in 2012. But I actually talked to those two, to Kelsey and to Aubrey, on a conference call early this week or last week. I'm getting my days mixed up, but obviously they're very, very excited. The softball's back in the Olympic Games after missing the last two, so they're going to get a chance. The status of both softball and baseball is up in the air for future Olympics, but they will get a chance in 2021 to win a gold medal, which is cool.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It seems like Michelle Moultrie.
Yeah.
Gosh, when did you say she graduated?
2012 was her last year.
Golly, yeah. And it's, So we got 3 Gator girls on the Olympic softball team. Chris, we got a Facebook Live here before we let you go here. It's back towards basketball. It comes from John. He says, Chris, Mike White keeps saying that he wants to play fast. He had a good team to do that with last year. So what exactly type of team should we expect to see on the court?
I don't think he had a good team to do it with last year after Keontae Johnson got hurt. I just think it changed the dynamics because they worked so hard in the offseason to come up with this new system, which was a faster playing system where more guys were given green lights to grab rebounds and go and attack. Keontae Johnson was going to be such a big part of that because he was going to get so many rebounds and he had gotten so much better with the ball in his hands. These guys are probably going to be a little more conducive to play that way. They got to get them together. I mean, I would like to see them play a lot faster. And it's these new coaches coming in are going to have a hand and probably a say in what goes into that. But I'm in agreement with your Facebook guy. There were times last year where when the ball seemed to slow down a little bit. I know he was paranoid about turnovers. And there was something to be said for that because sometimes they were playing too fast to their liking. But when they were playing fast, they were creating turnovers too. So some of that was canceling each other out. So I think that obviously bears watching as the season goes on. But I would anticipate them playing faster than last year, just off the top of my head right now.
And Freddie says on Facebook Live, kudos to Chris Harry. He wrote an amazing write-up on the HBC and his new restaurant.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to get a beer out of that. You know him, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah,
that place, we talked about it on. That place is going to be pretty cool once they finally open those doors.
Yep, it really is. And one football question before we let you go. I had Brent Beaird on earlier, and I know Phil Steele's magazine comes out, and you probably don't look at all that stuff, but were you surprised or did you hear that Phil Steele has the Gators preseason ranked 27th in America?
I didn't know that. That's not expectations, is it?
No.
And where is that relative to the SEC East is what I want to be. I heard some guy on Chuck Oliver's show pick Kentucky to finish second in the SEC East. So
oh wow,
they have Georgia running away with it. So I guess that's basically that's an Emory Jones thing. I like Emory Jones. I think Emory Jones is going to do something for the Gators that's kind of unspoken, is that they're going to have a running game just out of osmosis because of his ability to make something out of nothing, out of the pocket. Florida has to run the ball better than last year. The biggest question, of course, we all know the defense has to be better. But offensively, stepping back with losing all those receivers, losing Kyle Trask, all that productivity on that side of the ball, those great players, they got to be able to run the ball. And they got some guys in the backfield. I think they're going to have good receivers. They always do. Gonzalez does a great job with those guys. And I do think Emory Jones is probably going to be a little underappreciated heading into the season by some of these national pundits, if you will. But I do think, and I think you got to agree with me here, Shane, I think he's going to give them some kind of element to a running game that has to be a lot better than what's it been in the last few years. 100th in the country doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. Emory is a tremendous runner, and I think he's going to make a lot of things happen when things break down in the pocket. Chris, good stuff as always. Everybody can check your workout at FloridaGators.com, right?
Hey, FloridaGators.com, at Gators Chris on Twitter. Thank you very much for having me on, Shane. Take care.
Thank you for joining us.
See you at Spurriers.
That's right. I'll buy you something if the head ball coach won't. How about that?
It's more likely you. That's right.
Yeah. All right. That's Chris Harry. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline and take our final time out of this Thursday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Center State Bank's now South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. We want to thank Brent Beaird and Chris Harry for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Phil says here on Facebook Live, they are sleeping on our boys. That's all good. Let them. Our players have total confidence in Emory. In the words of Justin Shorter, this is going to be a move. So we shall see. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure you follow us and like us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those different podcast platforms out there. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe. We will see you tomorrow.